Howdy, my name is Nonat, and it's been about 10 seconds since I stopped recording yesterday's tier list video, because if you recall, if you finished that video, at the end, I went back and looked at my original tier list for Pathfinder 2E from, what year was that? 2021, November, almost 3 years ago. And I was literally jump scared by how shockingly different my ratings were. If you've not seen yesterday's video where I go over the Pathfinder 2E 2024 remastered tier list, definitely go watch that right now because the context is important. But in this video, we're going to be reacting to my Pathfinder 2E favorite class tier list from 3 years ago. I'm really curious to see what my reasonings were for all of these. So hunker down, get a snack. Let's go ahead and hop into this. But first, I want to give a huge shout out to all the members of the Nonat1's Patreon on screen right now. If you would like to join them and get your name on that list, you can pledge for $10 a month using a link in the description. And because I'm recording this in the past, if any of my 3 one-shot session tiers are still available, there's only 3 of them, first come, first serve, feel free to check out those, and if you're thinking about it and can financially afford it, consider picking one up for yourself if you want me to run a 3 to 5 hour long one-shot for you and up to 4 friends. Thank you so much. Let's get to this. We're going to go in alphabetical order here, so we're going to, of course, start with the Alchemist. Now, the Alchemist is a very interesting class that a lot of people dislike, basically calling them worse at dealing with variable damage than a spellcaster and worse at dealing flat damage than a martial class. So, why would you ever play an Alchemist? Well, if you've seen my channel, you know I love the Alchemist. Isn't that verbatim what I said yesterday? At the same time, if you need someone who can shoot a crossbow, an alchemist can do that too. An alchemist can also heal you. An alchemist can also brew you something to buff up your charisma skills. The alchemist can do a little bit of everything. Sure. He's talking about pre-master alchemist. Honestly, he's given it a lot of credit. I was very firm on my I love the alchemist hill. Especially 3 years ago. I have come to understand that, yes, they were in a bad place. They got some buffs, but the remaster has given them a lot more. I still think A tier after the remaster is fair. Pre-master, I probably would have put them closer to C. Nothing they do is the best option, but they can do every single option at their disposal. Yes, that is still true, and even more true than it used to be. I love being able to do a little bit of everything. So that is why the Alchemist is an S tier class. No, it's not. I'm sorry. No, it's not. Even A tier is like stretching it. There's a reason I kept it to the bottom of A tier on my yesterday's tier list, but like, oh, buddy, you love the Alchemist so much. It's clear, and I know, granted, the video is titled Favorite Class Tier List, so he wasn't calling it, like, the best of the best, but even now, I gotta disagree. I'm sorry. Now, the Barbarian is excellent. They did so much with the Barbarian in 2nd edition, basically turning it almost into a magical class sometimes. Yeah. You know, the Barbarian can shapeshift into Spirit, animals partway. They can imbue their attacks with draconic magic. They can attack the incorporeal with the Spirit instinct, and giving it that versatility is something I love. Okay, bad choice of words there. The Barbarian is not versatile. Like, that's something I've learned a lot over the years reviewing and talking about this game and playing it, is calling a class versatile because they have multiple build options. That's not actual versatility. It's theoretical versatility, but once you have built, once you have picked the Spirit instinct, that is your Barbarian. It's not like the next day you can choose Draconic or Giant. It's versatility at character creation. It's not versatility in practice. The Barbarian is no longer just an I hit it real hard class. Well, but at the same time, they didn't remove that option. The Rage and Giant instincts are perfect for that. Barbarians can do more than just hit stuff. That's absolutely true. Barbarians are fantastic. They're really, really good at a lot of different things. I think in my tier list I said they can mostly only just do, like, athletics and intimidation. That's not true. They're super fast. They have great movement economy if you get the right feats. They can jump super far. They are amazing at athletics and intimidation. They've got a lot of options to them. They're not as versatile as something like a rogue, obviously, or even as like a bard,
but they can do a lot more than just
You
hit
just want to hit stuff really hard. They have
That's
given
still valid,
the Barbarian
yes.
a much more unique identity without stripping
That's
it of that
absolutely
classic
true.
idea.
The
And for
identity
that
of the
reason,
PF2
I'm
Barbarian
giving the
is still
Barbarian
so
an
solid.
A-tier ranking. It's not
Hey,
quite as
same.
versatile as something like the Alchemist, but I have not seen a Barbarian build that I dislike. The only thing I want to see for the Barbarian is some more thrown weapon support.
Which we got in the remaster. We got more thrown weapons. Thank God. Now, why didn't they fix the Fury Instinct?
The Bard! Oh,
Bard.
The Bard. Ooh,
S
my
tier.
original top 10 video. I didn't even put the Bard in the top 10.
I forgot about
made
that
a
video.
lot
Oh
of
my
people
God.
upset, and it was really funny how many people got really
It
angry
was.
and called me stupid. The Bard has some issues that have yet to be addressed in Pathfinder's lifespan.
Oh?
The Bard is just a worse sorcerer. They've got
Okay. Buddy. I think, I'm gonna be honest, when I made this video in 2021, did Inspire Defense exist? Hold on, did Inspire Defense exist, or was that in the APG? No, that was in the core rulebook. That was released with Pathfinder 2e. Yeah, no, I just didn't understand the class. I guess, not that I didn't understand it, I didn't even really read the class. Like, I clearly was not in my right mind at this point. Like, no, that is... Calling the Bard a worse sorcerer is so wrong. But please, continue to dig your own grave.
They've got some cool support options, but
Yeah.
what used to be so unique to the Bard has been given so many new ways to access it, because there's just 3 types of bonuses: circumstance, status, and item.
That's true. You can't
the
super stack
gives
Bard
status
bonuses.
which, credit where credit is due. Status bonuses are not as common as circumstance bonuses.
In what world? You listen to this man tell you about Pathfinder 2nd Edition? Status bonuses are like the most common bonus in the game, except for maybe item bonus. And I guess it depends on what you're talking about buffing. But if you're talking about like bonuses to attack rolls, tell me, Nonat, how often do you get a circumstance bonus to attack rolls? Tell me. Oh my God.
But a lot of things give status bonuses now. Once anybody in the team can cast Heroism, Inspire Courage isn't useful anymore.
I'm sorry, what? I'm sorry. Heroism is single target. Yeah, at level 11, it gives a bigger bonus than Inspire Courage. But Heroism costs a spell slot and is single target. Inspire Courage, Courageous Anthem now, is a cantrip and affects the whole party. What are you talking about? This hurts.
Don't get me wrong, Inspire Courage is spectacular.
Good.
Being able to give everyone +1 to hit, that's great. And
Can we talk about how it can give +2 or like +3 if you're a Maestro Muse? Just saying.
Inspire Competence, Inspire Defense, they're all
You
great
do know about
cantrips.
Inspire Defense!
I don't know. I feel like Pathfinder 2e didn't do anything wrong with the Bard. People tend to think that I hate this class and it's terrible.
Apparently I did!
I just don't think they did anything new with the Bard.
That I will agree with, I think. Like, no, I can't. You know, they've given the Bard, you know, special focus spells and new subclass abilities to let them amplify and extend their songs. They've given them abilities to utilize different aspects of music and performance. No, Nat, they did things to the Bard. You just didn't pay attention. You're an F tier.
Where almost every class in Pathfinder 2nd Edition has been updated, altered, or otherwise given its own personal identity,
This hurts
the
to
Bard
listen
kind
to.
of still just feels like a Bard. It has...
Oh no! The Bard feels like a Bard! Oh, gods above, help us!
Its occult spells, it has its music.
You're
and
kidding
that's
me right
about
now.
It got a couple cool focus spells, but a lot of them just sort of augment existing things like Inspire Courage.
Yes!
I don't know. I have
That's
some issues
new
with
to
the Bard.
the Bard!
This is going to be incredibly hypocritical. I am putting the Bard in D tier because I do not enjoy the way Bards have been made in Pathfinder 2e. But again, it's not that I don't like them. That's the wrong word choice. I don't think they're a bad class. I think it's possible Bards have just been done right so many times, you know, why fix what isn't broken? The Bard works, so why change it? Why update it? And that's perfectly fine.
Then why is it D tier? I'm moving on.
The champion. Champion, the champion, the champion.
I think I ended up giving it A tier.
It is not as bad as I thought it to be when I first played the game.
Pre-Master Champion was
But it's certainly not much better. The champion has a lot going for it, but a lot of what it has going for it is right in the automatic class features that you're gonna get no matter what. This makes a lot of champions feel very similar to each other. If you're playing a sword and board champ...
This has been fixed a lot by the inclusion of all the new causes, especially in the remaster, now that they're not alignment locked and they're just wholly unholy. There's a lot more varieties of champion, especially back in 2021. Remember, champions only had 3 subclasses. That's all they got until like either late 2022 or early 2023. I can't even remember. Champions felt very, very restrictive in a lot of ways, but modern day champions are so much more versatile. I might still agree with this ranking.
Chances are you're going to look very similar to other sword and board champions. Sure, you've got some feat options that make you better at fighting specific types of enemies. You know, you've got the oaths against dragons.
Yeah, thank God the oaths were not put in the remaster. I know we're getting them at some point.
But I don't like those as a game mechanic. It punishes
the
player if the
campaign...
But if all we're fighting are dragons the whole time, I'd have to completely reinvent my character. You know, if I want him to be a champion of Pharasma, why would I ever give him an oath against dragons? Like, sure, mechanically it's smarter, because you'll get those bonuses, but that's not why I play this game. I play this game to play the characters I want to play. And so a lot of the times if I think of a cool champion concept, I just think, cool, I will play them if I someday happen to come across a campaign that works for them.
I really like that. My stance hasn't really changed. I still play this game to play the characters I want to be. That's why I'm playing a Goblin War Priest right now in Pathfinder. Like, I love this game, and I'm really glad I've never, like, caved in. Like, I've never chosen to just become a min-maxer of any kind. There's nothing wrong with min-maxing if that's what your table's into, but I really enjoy these games for the roleplay and the stories that the rules help facilitate telling, and I think min-maxing does take away from that.
But what keeps them out of D tier, what is going to be putting the champion in the C tier, is their archetype potential.
It's true. Yeah, even if you're not using free archetype, champions are the best archetype vessel.
And especially their armor proficiency going up to legendary, you can get very creative by slapping some archetypes onto a champion. You want a champion Beastmaster? Congratulations, you now have a ranger who has legendary proficiency in heavy armor.
God, I forgot about... And a bear! I forgot about that character concept. I should absolutely look into making that at some point.
Clerics. Clerics are going right in B tier.
Really?
That was not planned that we'd have one in like all 5 tiers, but clerics are
I'm shocked.
Fine.
Clerics are better than they used to be.
I don't love them. I think they're...
Clerics got buffed in the remaster, and I ranked them lower. Wow. Because before, they were so charisma dependent. Those 4 extra spell slots you get for heal in modern Pathfinder, you only originally got 1 plus your charisma modifier. Like, you got a max of 4, and that's if you bumped everything else into charisma. Wow, I'm actually shocked I ranked it that high.
They're well designed, and if we get more subclass options, that would bump the cleric up to A tier. The problem I have with them right now is they're just very samey.
Yeah.
You're either a war priest or a cloistered cleric.
Bad news, bucko. That's still how it goes.
That is it. Sure, where you go from there can change a lot, especially depending on deity and specifically alignment, because harming clerics are very different from healing clerics.
That's
and there's a lot of stuff
but now you can make clerics that do both.
But I still think they need more to differentiate themselves. You can still make those very aggressive clerics that break the norm. You don't need to be a heal bot, but there's still very few paths that a cleric can take in this system, and I think they deserve more. The reason it's a B tier and not a C tier, honestly, with their limited choice, is just because of how well designed they are. Especially, so much of this is because of the way they handled the heal spell, with the 1, 2, 3 action versions all on the...
Okay, that doesn't feel like a fair way to judge the class, because other classes can get the heal spell, my dude. Freaking oracles, sorcerers, witches. Is that it? Are those all the divine casters? Like, just because the heal spell is good doesn't mean the cleric is good. I mean, I guess it does, because they get the free heal spell slots. And, like, maybe I should have put it in B tier in my yesterday's tier list, but I don't know. In the grand scheme of the game, healing is great, but also in modern PF2, healing is so much more plentiful, especially out of combat healing between medicine and a lot of different class abilities that have infinitely renewable healing, like focus spells. The heal spell, phenomenal burst healing, but having that be your class's identity, that's C tier for me. If heal is the class's identity, that is not super well designed.
It's never going to be as simple as, oh, you know, I cast heal. All right, my turn's done. Oh, it's my turn? Heal. I'm done. No, it's going to be, do I save an action by touching him and single action healing? Or do I keep my distance and spend the 2 actions with the ranged heal?
Unfortunately, and this is a problem I have, is that the 2-action version of heal is too strong. To the point where, unfortunately, that's never the case. It really is always 2-action heal is the right choice. Find the person who is the lowest and 2-action heal. In a dire situation, 3-action heal, it's just never worth the spell slot to use the 1-action heal. Would you rather heal 1 to 8 hit points? Or 9 to 16 hit points for an extra action using... It uses the full spell slot right away, either way, you know? I think giving the 1-action version 30-foot range might balance it and see it get more use. But as it stands, giving the 2-action version range and max healing on the die plus rolling the die as well is just, it's unbeatable, you know? As it gets even better as you level up. You know, at level 5, would you rather heal for 3 to 24 hit points, or would you rather heal 3d8 plus 24 hit points? Like, it's a no-brainer, unfortunately.
Druids!
Druids!
Druids are awesome
Really?
in 2e. They're not, like, super powerful. I think I like barbarians more, but they're just so fun. They've got so many subclasses. Can you tell I like subclasses?
I do.
They've got what?
A lot.
Animal, wild, plant, storm, fire, water. I love druids. There's so many ways to play them. You can play an urban druid. You can play a druid of any environment, and there's always a way to make it work.
I think that's a fair ranking, especially knowing that this tier list is based much more on my opinion rather than yesterday's tier list, which was based a little bit more on mechanical understanding. Yeah, our explanations were just about the same between yesterday and this video. Overall, yeah, I still love the Druid. And if I was putting it on personal preference, probably, maybe, I don't know if it'd be quite A tier either nowadays, but I did like them, especially up front when the game was still newer.
You can combine orders with Order Explorer to have, you could have a Fire Water Druid.
That is still a cool aspect of Druids,
and
being
I
able
just
to
love it. There's so many ways to play it. They're really fun to explore. I'm playing one right now, and even they haven't removed anything you can do with a Druid. I think that's why they're an A rank, A tier. You can be a melee Druid. You're good. You can be a backline support. You're good. You can be a mid-range offensive spellcaster. You're good. You can be an upfront shape-shifting Druid. You're good. You can do whatever you want with a Druid. You could have a party of 6 Druids, and they would all be entirely different. They could all fill completely different roles.
Absolutely.
And it would be awesome.
I think you could absolutely beat an adventure path with a party of all Druids. Yeah, no, most of that still stands true for Druids. I think just my standards for each tier got higher. The Druid didn't get, like, worse or anything. But yeah, opinions change, and that was an interesting one. Speaking of opinions changing...
So, don't get me wrong here. F does not stand for failure. F tier is not worse than D tier.
I forgot.
F just means fighter.
F just means fighter.
Because fighters are in a tier all their own.
It's true.
The fighter is incredibly fun to play. If any of you take that out of context and put it on Twitter, I will ban you for life. Don't ask me how. They just get a +2 to hit over every single other class in the game.
Yep.
That's it. That is the only thing that is the point of contention. And the +2 to hit wouldn't even be that big of a deal, except for the +10, -10.
Naturally, yeah. So, our opinions are still pretty much the same. I'm just less vehement about it lately.
I do think mechanically the fighter is imbalanced. He is too good at what he does, and if he can ever get his hands on weapons that deal elemental damage, you really don't need anybody else on the team.
Hard disagree. Very, very good. Absolutely. They are some of the best combatants in the game. but they have their shortcomings, especially once you've decided on one type of weapon, whether it be melee or ranged. Once somebody actually attacks you with the opposite, if you're in melee and you're getting attacked by range, or you're ranged and you're getting attacked in melee, all of a sudden you've got a lot less options at your disposal. The fighter is still S tier, don't get me wrong, but it is not mechanically imbalanced like he's saying here. Like, it is nowhere near as game-breaking as I used to think that it is.
A team of 4 fighters with ranged weapons and elemental runes and whatnot can probably take on almost any threat.
That I will agree with. I will actually agree with that, and whether that's a problem or not, that's totally up to you. Yeah, no, I do think that 4 differently built fighters, especially if you let them throw archetypes into the mix, they can handle anything. That bonus to attack rolls, and if you have like a flaming bow, a freezing crossbow, a shocking greatsword, and a sonic damage hammer, like, they can tackle anything that comes their way. It's wild. They'll have to make sure their damage types are divvied up correctly, but 4 fighters, I think that would make short work of almost any adventure path, aside from the skill checks.
Probably won't be as proficient in as many skills as the rogue. They won't have an animal... Well, unless they take Beastmaster. The point is, mechanically, I do think
even back
fighters
then,
are
Beastmaster was just insane.
In the grand scheme
it's always
of things,
been nuts.
It doesn't matter. I played one. It was really fun. I played a fighter Oracle Eldritch Archer, and it was super fun to get critical hit, produce flame shots with my short bow. It was a blast. If you like getting critical hits, it's cool. But let me tell you, nothing actually hurts more than rolling a 2 on the D20 and still hitting the monster.
I love how in this video I'm like, yeah, nothing hurts more than still hitting on a 2. But in yesterday's video, I said, you're gonna love the feeling of rolling a 4 and still hitting the target. I think just my opinions and viewpoints have changed. It's been 3 very long years of my life, and so I think I've just found more joy in the little things, and a lot of these little things don't bug me nearly as much as they used to.
Gunslinger. This one is going to be interesting because I have not had a lot of time to examine or judge the Gunslinger. I think I'm going to be safe and put them in A tier. Gunslingers are cool. I think there should be more classes like it or treated this way where they get legendary proficiency, but only in a specific type of weapon.
I do still agree with that. I love limited
they get
legendary proficiency.
Only in firearms. Otherwise, they scale just the same as other martial classes. They've even got some silly stuff. You know, you got rocket jump where you can shoot downward and launch yourself. It's super cool. I wish I had more to say. I want to play one. I played one in the playtest, and it was...
So yeah, my opinions of the Gunslinger haven't really changed, which is also because that class didn't get remastered in any way yet, which apparently it's going to, by the way. I think Michael Sayer leaked on Reddit or something that we're getting Guns and Gears and Secrets of Magic. At the very least, a major overhaul errata, if not a full remaster, so that's exciting. But yeah, the only thing I don't touch on here is how gamble-focused the Gunslinger is, which, yeah, I believe it really is pretty gambly. But that's totally fine. It's part of the give-and-take risk-reward system of the class, and I don't change it out of A tier for that.
The Inventor.
I'm so curious what I'm going to say about Inventor, because like I mentioned yesterday, I forgot the Inventor existed for a long time. It got so overshadowed by the Gunslinger in Guns and Gears, so I want to know where he puts it. Because, like, it's got a lot of cool features, but it also has a lot of problems.
I want to give Inventor S tier.
What?
But I think it is an A tier.
Whoa!
Below Barbarian, but above Druid.
A tier.
Inventors are so variable. You have so many choices. You can go with a companion. You can go with a super decked out suit of armor. But honestly, the thing that really wins me over for the Inventor is just the Weapon Inventor subclass. Just with the weapon innovation, you can get so many options. You can make so many different customized weapons that, again, similar to the Druid, you could have 6 Inventors, all with the weapon innovation, and they'll still feel different. They'll deal different.
Yes and no. In retrospect, the level 1 weapon innovations aren't super crazy. They'll be like, oh, you can give it modular with different damage, or versatile with a different damage, or like, I think you can give it reach and stuff like that. They're not as game-changing as I make them out to be. At higher levels, absolutely. Once you start adding runes and all the other higher-level innovations, like breakthrough innovations, like, yeah, you'll start to feel really, really diverse. But at its base, level 1 to 6 inventors with just their baseline innovations on weapons don't feel that crazy, aside from their ability to deal bonus damage with overdrive and explode their weapon with explode. But otherwise, I don't know. I don't think I agree with myself anymore.
Different bonus damage at level 9. They'll all have different starting traits. They'll all have different weapons. Some will be ranged, some will be melee, some might be thrown. Puts it on paper and it shows you, hey, here's all these toys. Pick and choose the ones you want,
Valid.
mash them together, see what happens. Oh, you want to take
really
all the feats and all the weapon innovations that extend double and triple the range increment? Cool, go for it. Shoot from 5,000 feet away. Have fun.
That's true. Yeah,
I love it. The Inventor is just one of them.
Did I just convince myself to retroactively increase my tier list? I think I would put Inventor in B tier. I forgot how much fun, like, Inventors can be, and just hearing my past self explain that in such a fun, like, ecstatic way, I don't know. It makes me want to play an Inventor again. I like that a lot. Yeah, maybe. I think B tier. I think B tier. My next character might be an Inventor. After forgetting them, and I haven't stopped thinking about them since I remembered them, because nobody plays Inventors, and I don't know. I want to see what they can do.
Oh, hello, my old enemy, the Inventor. The Inventor is not a bad class.
This guy can't even say the name of the class, right?
I do not dislike the Inventor. I don't even hold the same animosity as I once did for feats like That's Odd. However,
God, it's always a good sign.
Zero.
It's always a really good sign when I watch my old videos and I make myself laugh. That always just makes me proud of the work I've done over the years.
Drive to ever build or play an Inventor. They are just...
I give up. That's actually still true. I put Investigator, I think, in B tier. I still have no, like, interest in playing one. I don't know what it is. There's something about the class that I just don't want to play. I feel like with the Investigator, I can play any class I want and play that class with an investigative spirit, you know, an inquisitive fighter who still wants to solve crimes. But I feel like I've never wanted to make solving crimes the main aspect of my character.
I feel like there's nothing in me that I could get out of an Investigator that I couldn't get out of another class. Oh,
the
medical one?
What did I just say?
Chirurgeon
I would rather play another class.
Oh, the one that's super into, like, stealthy things? Why don't I just play a rogue? The big question I have right now is where do I put them? Mechanically, in the grand scheme of the system, I think they're a B tier.
That's where it was. Yeah, that's where I put it.
Personal list.
Yeah.
So he is either right at the bottom of C tier or the tip top of D tier. He's right on that line. I'm just gonna close my eyes and just kind of like line it up how I see fit.
Randomly. Oh my god.
D tier.
Damn.
I'm sorry. Honestly,
freaking
you heard what I said. He's top of D, bottom of C. If there was a C.5 tier, I would have put him there. But there's not, so that's where he's gonna lie.
Wow.
Magus!
Oh, where are you?
No, I was really quick.
No.
Almost without thinking, I dragged Magus up here to S tier, but I paused.
No.
And I'm sitting here thinking,
D tier class, my
Magus is so cool. S tier because Spell Strike is cool.
Valid. Valid reasoning. And?
Plot twist, there is no and. S tier. Monks!
Damn! This kid's got fucking game! Oh my god! Holy cow! I am catching myself off guard with my own choice, with my own jokes, and that's amazing. Holy shit. No, you're wrong. Yes, the damage is cool, and maybe for your personal preference, S tier is fine. Magus is such a D tier class in the grand scheme of things. It sucks, and it's hard to say because I love the Magus so much. It's so fun, but it's such a gamble. If it works out, yeah, S tier. The second you miss, D tier. God, that line delivery was perfect.
Ooh, monks.
This
is
not
one of my
putting
favorite
him in
iterations
S
of
tier.
monks in the history of tabletop RPGs. They are a big complaint a lot of people have is, oh, you know, monks don't belong in a fantasy setting. I think Paizo has done an incredible job in putting the monk together in such a way. The stances are really cool, and you can flavor it so well. The stances! I'm going to talk about the stances here! Sure, the monk doesn't have a subclass, but the stance you pick is basically your subclass. You know, you can...
Yes, but a lot of the stances feel very similar with just a couple different traits and a different follow-up maneuver, and it's just hard to really get into it beyond the flavor. Yeah, you can describe and skin the stance however you want. You know, if you go into tiger stance, you can be like a trained martial arts monk, or you can just be a character who fights like a tiger, and that's super cool from a character perspective. But overall, the stances, aside from the unique ones like Cobra stance or monastic archery or mountain stance and those, a lot of them just end up feeling very similar, and that is a big problem I have with the class that I didn't have 3 years ago. I think this is a problem that has only arisen because I've played and researched PF2 so much that a more fresh viewpoint, like this one, I'd only been playing the game for about 1.5 years at this point, is far more excited by those options before actually seeing them in play.
Now the big question is, do I like it more or less than the Barbarian? And the answer is more.
Really?
I like Flurry of Bows.
God damn. Oh, wow. I'm gonna say, in a lot of ways, this video is making me sad because I've spent so many years reading and rereading and playing this game that I've lost a lot of the youthful, like, I don't even want to call it ignorance, just enthusiasm and enjoyment and just raw, vaguely uneducated at times, bliss of playing this game, quote-unquote, for the first time. You know, it had only been 1.5 years. I've played it so long now that I know all these different combos, all the do's, all the do-nots. But when I was 1.5 years into this game, like, I knew my way around it, but I didn't know a lot of the intricacies. And I felt like that made the game more enjoyable. And it's really hard to look at myself and look at my games now and realize I don't do it. You know, I don't min-max. I don't try my best to crack the game open in any way when I play it, but it's hard not to see the min-max, to see the possibilities when I'm playing a quote-unquote subpar character. And even in my videos, you know, even in my videos today, I try to bring that enthusiasm, that energy, but there was just something so youthful about these old videos that I really, really enjoy looking back on. And it's hard not to feel old watching them. You know, I know it's only been 3 years, but let me tell you, a lot's happened in the last 3 years to the point where that 26-year-old is nothing like the 29-year-old in front of you right now, which is, for better or for worse. Last few years have been a lot, and it's changed a lot for me.
Now we come to a really tough one.
Oh, what are you doing with the Oracle?
The Oracle.
Old Oracle.
As it stands, is a C-tier caster to me.
I agree with that.
And that makes me upset, too. I love the Oracle. The Oracle, to me, should have been a bounded spellcaster, similar to the Magus and the Summoner. You know, very few spell slots per day.
But they should have been
but
amazing.
But their class features more than make up for it.
Yeah.
Right now, the Oracle mysteries and curses, they're so cool. Flavor alone is what's keeping the Oracle out of D tier for me.
But it's true,
The problem is that the Oracle right now doesn't feel worth the effort.
And sadly, the same goes for the remastered Oracle. I was probably too mean putting it in F tier yesterday, but like, it still doesn't feel like there's not as much effort to put in modern day Oracles, but you still don't feel like you're being rewarded for having a curse. The curse just feels like it's there to make your life harder, and there's nothing you can do about it, which again, flavor-wise, really freaking cool. But because of how tight the ship of Pathfinder 2E is, Paizo apparently just couldn't figure out a way to make the Oracle notably more powerful while also restricted by the curse in a way that would keep the game and ship balanced. So we ended up with a pretty subpar class overall, because I think at the end of the day, Paizo would rather release something slightly underpowered than slightly overpowered.
I'm not just talking the effort of casting focus spells, expanding your curse, suffering from it. No, no, no. I'm talking about the effort of learning the class.
Oh, the
Oracle is still
complicated
the most
joke.
complicated class
I wrote that for like a
in
year and a
Pathfinder
half.
2E.
But
it's
it was.
more complicated than the Summoner, more complicated than the Inventor. The Oracle, there's just so much to it. You have to learn an entire new system of advancing and regressing curse, how it works, what your individual curse grants you, what penalties, and you have to keep that all in mind. And the benefits you gain from all this just aren't worth the brain power.
It just never
and
was,
the
and it still isn't.
Effort.
It's so sad.
You know, the Battle Oracle sounds super cool. If you watched yesterday's video, you know the Ranger is an S-tier class.
Oh,
they're
my baby.
really close to the Alchemist, but they're not quite there. Rangers are just fun because it is one of the first times I've ever seen a true single target build type character in a TTRPG without having to.
I do think in the remaster, it's hard to say whether Barbarians have outclassed the Ranger in single target DPS. I think they have, you know, especially with Mighty Rage. If they can land that on the boss, they can cut half the boss's health down in one shot. Rangers did not get any love in the remaster. They were pretty much untouched, just like the Monk. And I don't think Rangers got any weaker. I think all the classes around them got stronger because of a lot of the things in the remaster. And I still put Ranger at, like, I think the tip top of B tier, or close to the top of B tier yesterday. But I don't think it's the S tier class that I thought it was. I loved Rangers so much, and I still do. I still love the class. But the big difference is that purely mechanically versus just flavor and my personal bias, that's, yeah, B tier I think is where a Ranger belongs.
Rogues. I feel like I'm putting too many up here, but rogues are also an S tier
glad we
class.
agree on
Sorry,
something,
Marcel,
buddy.
Your net kind of gets cut off there. But I also don't apologize at all.
Yeah,
rogues
no, that's
in
where it
Pathfinder
belongs.
2E are absolutely incredible. If you like rolling skill checks, you will love playing a rogue. So not only can you master and legendary way more skills, but you can also just learn every skill in the game as a rogue. You can just be the ultimate skill junkie.
People have made builds where you start at level 1 with every single skill proficiency by, like, maxing out intelligence, taking certain ancestry feats and a specific background. There's a way to do it, or at least most skills, if not all of them. It's wild.
Their sneak attack still feels great with all the ways to get and give flat-footed in this game. Sneak attacks have never been easier.
That's still true.
And all of the different, the rogues, what's their debilitating strikes? The rogue.
Yeah. Oh man, debilitating strike is such a cool feature. I didn't even mention that yesterday.
Subclass, if you take the feats, of course. I love that there's a strength-based rogue with the ruffian.
Pathfinder
I
rogues
love
go
this
so
class.
hard.
Sorcerers. Oh, sorcerers.
We put it in A tier.
Sorcerers, I'm going to put right next to clerics in B tier. I adore the sorcerer.
Below cleric?
Sheerly, say it with me, from the amount of options it gives you.
I definitely gave... Well, I didn't. I gave a lot of bonus points in this video to classes that have more options, like bloodlines and druid orders and stuff. But then I still put cleric at the top of B tier. How did I put cleric above sorcerer? That's kind of wild to me. I think I just really liked clerics as a concept, and I always had animosity towards sorcerers because people like them more than wizards, and I love wizards so much. Yeah. But no, this actually tracks. You know, the B tier sorcerer, after the remaster, it bumped them to A tier. That tracks absolutely.
There's not a whole lot more to say. Casters are harder to talk about, especially core rulebook casters, because they just kind of are. You know, your sorcerer is your go-to spontaneous caster, but it also uses the focus points. I adore them. But if we want to talk about who I adore more, we talk about the S-tier summoner, the only class behind the alchemist, and honestly, I could see it replacing alchemist as my favorite class in the future. The summoner is so much fun.
How new was Secrets of Magic when I made this video? This video came out November 17th. Secrets of Magic came out 2.5 months prior. The Summoner had only been out for 2 months at this point, and I guarantee you I had never played one, because I still have never played one. I am, like, blown away by this claim that it's gonna be my new favorite class. What? I gave it, like... Did I give it D tier? Or C tier in yesterday's video? Oh my god.
the sheer creativity you get when customizing your Eidolon, the just sheer amount of options available to them with the Eidolon, similar to the Sorcerer's Bloodline, determining your caster tradition. It's just everything I want out of...
I don't want to know how to play this game anymore. I don't want to know how to what's best and what's worst. I want to be this guy again. I want to be, this is super cool because it's cool and that's why it's cool. I want to be young and stupid again. Can somebody tell me how to do that? Because I would love to have that mindset again. Of, I don't care if the choices are good. There's a lot of choices and they all sound cool, and that's enough for me. I absolutely love that viewpoint, and I want it back, please. Give.
A summoning class. They're even adding more and more support for, like, summon spells, you know, summon animals, summon undead. I love that stuff. And honestly, I adore the bounded spell casting. I am someone who is very particular, and I save my spells, you know, I don't...
Interesting. I'm giving them bonus points for the bounded spell casting. That's part of what tanked it in my video yesterday.
Clutch heal spell later down the line, but for the most part, I'll be focusing on getting my Eidolon in there. And honestly, I cannot say enough how much I love how much the book encourages you to be creative with your Eidolon. You know, they never say, oh, a beast Eidolon looks like this. No, a beast Eidolon is whatever you want. They say, you know, it is whatever animal you want, it is whatever combination of animals you want. You can make something completely unique. My Eidolon as a beast summoner was a bear with a praying mantis head and praying mantis pincers. It was so cool.
When did I play a summoner? Wait, what? When did I play a summoner? My dude's talking about playing a summoner. I don't remember playing one, but I remember the bear with praying mantis face. I legitimately have no recollection of having played a summoner. What game would that have been in? God, now I'm just having an existential crisis of how many characters have I played that I forgot about. Because I did play a couple of one-shots back in the day, especially on, like, I played 2 or 3 Pathfinder Society games. I don't remember playing a summoner at all. Wild.
His name was Barrett.
There's art! How do I not remember it when there's art? Who ran the game? Who was my GM? I must have played it in a one-shot, and I know who was in the game. Huh. I must have blocked it out of my memories for one reason or another. But cool that I have Barrett. Is Barrett. That's adorable.
Summoner is S tier, no contest. I might like them more than alchemists. I'm just not confident enough to put that there yet. 3 left. Talk about the swashbuckler.
Where are you putting
Swashbucklers are cool.
Yep.
Swashbucklers are neat.
Yep.
They somewhat suffer from the same problems as the investigator, in that the swashbuckler is basically just a fighter rogue. And I'm not saying that in a bad way.
Absolutely true, yes.
But I'm saying if you want to do one thing very specifically, you're better off picking fighter or rogue. You're just dealing bonus damage on every single attack you ever do. And if you're confident you can finish them off, you can use the finisher to get a butt ton of bonus damage. Yeah, it's a really fun playstyle that'll keep you engaged in combat.
That's true. That's something I actually wish I talked about more in yesterday's video, is being more engaged in the combat in front of you. I think that is a great aspect of the swashbuckler that probably would have nicked it up a tier. Because the ability to engage the player and immerse the player in the combat in front of them is super important. That's actually something I want to give to the fighter as well. When you land a critical hit, it draws you further into the moment. You know, it's really easy to say, okay, I hit D8 plus 4, that's 6 damage. But when you roll high enough and the GM says, that's a crit, the big happy brain chemicals go off, and you're like, okay, I need to find a second D8, and it's a lot, yeah. So, in the same vein that the fighter crits get them immersed, I do think that's fair. The swashbuckler does get the player a lot more engaged in the combat of spending and regaining panache.
Because you're always trying to balance the resource of panache. Gain it, spend it, gain it, spend it. And as you level up, get more finishers, you have even more ways to use that resource. So that's why I'm going to put Swashbuckler at the top of B tier. It's not exactly my style of character, but I appreciate all the different Swashbucklers you can build, and I really appreciate the just engaging design at the base core value of the Swashbuckler. What I'm kind of interested in, I'll probably make one of these tier lists every year or so, because I think my opinions are going to change as we get new content, as we get new feats and subclasses for all of these. These will shift around, I'm sure of it. So I'll probably update these in the future sometime. I'm sure this is...
Oh, that was so cool! Oh, I forgot I said that! That was like me talking to me! Oh, in some ways that felt like me being like, yeah, my opinions are gonna change, and that's okay. And like they have, and like just, you know, a couple minutes ago I was like, oh, I kinda hate that my opinions have changed, but like, no. Oh, past me was like, that's okay. You know, my opinions are gonna change, and that's fine. It's not the end of the world. Oh my god, that was adorable. That just made my whole day, not gonna lie. Seeing myself reference the video I literally made yesterday. Oh. How freaking cool.
We've got 2 classes left. They're very similar.
Even more than they are now.
It would almost be a disservice to put them in different tiers. But I'm going to. First, the Witch. I'm putting at the top of C tier.
Interesting.
I don't dislike the Witch. There's a lot of fun things you can do with it. But at the end of the day, the Witch feels like a wizard.
Yes.
I guess that's the end of that sentence. It feels like a wizard with a familiar instead of a spell book. That's about it. They get some different focus.
And like after the remaster, that's still technically true. But the familiar at least now has like their familiar abilities. They've got a few more hexes they can play with, and the fact that their familiar responds to their hexes and they can move their familiar around the battlefield strategically, it gives the Witch a lot more identity in combat, whereas before they were way too similar.
Spells from their hexes, but honestly, it just kind of feels like the wizard again with the sorcerer's multi-tradition casting slapped in there. I don't think we needed it on a prepared caster. I don't think I like it on a prepared caster.
I just always liked it being the sorcerer's thing. Like, it was unique to sorcerer that they were the only class that could cast with every tradition. I feel like giving that to the witch just sort of made the witch feel like it was stealing from the sorcerer. And I guess without it, the witch would be even more like the wizard, which would be its own share of problems. But I don't know. I feel like the witch, even to this day after the remaster, it feels like the least needed class in PF2. It doesn't do enough on its own to warrant being its own class. Like, I feel like you could have had a Hexmaster archetype, so you could put hexes on, like, your wizard or sorcerer or bard, and that would have added just as much to the game as the full witch class.
But I'm not putting the wizard that high above it. I am going to put the wizard in B tier, slightly above the sorcerer. That's just personal bias.
I knew it.
They're very similar classes.
There's no actual
reason. I just prefer prepared casting over.
Ooh, I don't agree with that. He just said that wizards and sorcerers are similar classes. I don't agree with that at all. I did believe that back in the day. I remember believing that for years, both in D&D and Pathfinder. I always just assumed wizards and sorcerers were super similar. As I grow older, they definitely get very different. Although, looking at them side by side, the little pictures of them, of Ezran and Sione, are very, very similar, almost in the exact same pose. But, no, sorcerers have a lot more going on than wizards. Wizards are a lot more, I can't even say consistent. It's unfortunate, but in modern day, the sorcerer is just better than the wizard in pretty much every way. The only benefit of the wizard is if you can find the, if you can learn and find the scrolls to learn more spells. Like, you can have more spells available to you than a sorcerer, but the sorcerer has so much more flexibility in casting their spells.
Over spontaneous. I'm weird, I know. But the reason the witch is one tier lower than the wizard is because it just feels redundant. I don't think the witch needed to be its own class.
I definitely think that it's not as redundant as it used to be because it has the familiar abilities, the patron's a little more impactful now. Overall, it found its place. It doesn't feel as redundant as it used to. The hexes are super cool, and with the familiar ability going alongside them, they can impact the battlefield in a totally unique way. So I'm glad they found their place in the game. It just sucks that it took them a few years to actually do that.
I don't know. Maybe I'm weird. Maybe I'm wrong. You'll yell at me in the comments. But that is our tier list, which is almost perfectly like pyramid. Like, if I had put the...
Yeah, compared to my current, yesterday's tier list, which was a lot more balanced, I'd say, which I think is a good sign. You know, after the remaster, this pyramid became much more of a box. You know, most things were in most things were in A, B, and C tier. There weren't as many S tiers, but there also weren't as many D tiers. So, or F tiers. So, yeah, it's, I really enjoyed going back and looking through this. This video was 100% much more for me than it was for you, but I hope you enjoyed seeing the clashing different personalities of me and my younger self talking about the same-ish classes. Obviously, these are pre-remaster, and I talked post-remaster, but I really dig seeing the changes, especially, like, Summoner and Magus. I think they were brand new classes. I was still over the moon about them in this video, so I put them super high, whereas now that they've been out for a few years and I've seen what they can actually do, I lowered them all the way to either C or D tier. It was a lot, but this was a super cool little experiment. Thank you for indulging me and letting me walk down memory lane here. I do like watching my old videos from time to time like this. It's cool to see where I was, where I am, and it's cool to see that there's a lot I can learn from my past self. There's a lot of things that I have unlearned or have changed over the years. Not all bad, but I do like a lot of what I used to do, and I wanna do some of that again. It helps me look to the future of my own content, and I inspire myself for what I can do, and it's pretty cool. So yeah, I guess that's about it. Thank you for watching so much. I appreciate you all. I hope you all have a wonderful rest of your day. Until next, that's not when I salute.